And hi everybody. Hello. Hi. This is my second broadcast. Hello. Hi everyone. So to those who don't know me, my name is Artem, and I'm a spiritual teacher. So I have a website called truefreedom.net. So please feel free to read what I have to say about the process of spiritual enlightenment, spiritual awakening, and things like that. So I'm hosting my video meetings every week. So this is the second one. We have a couple of visitors, three actually. So wonderful. So they're all in the guest room. So without further ado, let me just start by adding guests, and then we'll have a conversation. So all right, Sophia, hi. How's it going?
Hello. Going well. How's it going with you?
I don't think I can hear it. Hold on, let me try again. Yes, can you say something?
Hi. Can you hear me now?
Hi.
Hi.
Yes, I can hear you. How are you?
Sweet. I'm doing well. How are you?
Wonderful. It's great. It's great. Yes, you have a wonderful smile.
Oh, thank you.
I'm good.
Oh, is this? Am I supposed to have a question right now?
If you wish, yes. I mean,
you're
okay. That's all right. That's fine.
I
So
don't have anything off the top of my head.
let's add. Hi.
Hey there.
How's it going? We also have
Good,
Alex
thank you.
here. Yes. Hi guys. Hi Alex. Gergo. So if you have anything to discuss.
Hey guys.
So who wants to go first?
I'm driving.
You're driving. Okay, so then probably I will remove you for now.
It's not so safe actually.
Not so safe. Yes. Maybe you should. That's a good point. Yes, maybe you should pay more attention to the road, Alex. Yes, don't look at us. Just stop the car or at least listen only to audio. Eyes on the road. Okay, Gergo, please go ahead. If
Yes,
you wish.
okay. I wanted to ask you about distraction. So I actually have two questions. One of them is about distraction. The other one is about the spiritual ego.
Okay.
Yeah, but because I want to ask you about distraction because I do distract myself quite a lot, even though if I meditate daily, like 1 hour in the morning, about 1 hour, and then like in the daytime I have a nap, and it's like I face some stuff. But during the day, I think I'm distracting. Just like by talking to people, doing stuff, it's like I kind of drawn back to my mind quite often.
Okay, and you would like that not to happen, right? Is that the point?
I think so.
Okay.
Yes, I think so.
Okay. Yeah, well, tough luck. That's gonna happen. That's fine. So when you say distraction, what you mean is kind of it feels nice, like when you identify with consciousness and nothing arises in the mind, right? As something arises, then you lose this nice warm feeling of home for a little bit, and then you kind of get to. Yeah, well, unfortunately, it's a part of it, right? So, so you're only home to the extent to which you no longer care about those things, and you used to a lot, and then you stopped at some point, and now you have discovered home. But to the remaining force, with which you care about those things, is also something to continue to witness and to allow yourself to experience all of those what you call distractions. You see, because you really can't let go of anything that is still pulling you in, that is still of interest to you, that you still crave to experience. So it's important not to suppress it when it happens, right? It's like if you as you notice that you kind of get sucked into the mind, and maybe even you're stuck in thought loops or some emotions or whatever, the only thing that you can do is witness. you know. So, and as you witness, and as you forget to witness, actually, oftentimes you remind yourself to witness, and you begin to witness again. So those reminders, they will happen. But what's important is not to think that it is something that can be avoided, or that you're doing something wrong. You see, or it means that, you know, if only you clung to consciousness harder, then, you know, you wouldn't have to. So all of those sort of, it doesn't work this way. It doesn't work this way. So if the mind is, you know, again, you know, if it's torturing you, if there's some you know, discontent, difficult emotions, some yearnings, despair, whatever it is, right? So just give it attention, just witness it, give it attention. And by the way, paradoxically, it also applies to the part of the mind which is kind of spiritually judgmental of this whole situation, right? And that doesn't want it to happen. That says, you know, if only we were more enlightened, we wouldn't have to deal with this, whatever it is, right? Like, you know, I'm mistaken again. That's a case of mistaken identity, whatever it is. That is also the part which is showing its, you know, discontent. So these are also just words, and behind those words there are always experience, emotion, sensation, something that makes you uncomfortable. You see, and sometimes it's difficult to identify what it is, but it's always there, right? And you notice this kind of this discontent. It can be very extreme, or it can be subtle, but it's there. And all you can do is just tend to it. All you can do is just to give it attention, and allow it to reveal itself, allow it to manifest, allow it to be. Basically, don't try to hide from it. So that's so. Unfortunately, you know, that's a very paradoxical process. It's, you know, the less you want to be distracted, the more you'll be distracted.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah. You can't cling to consciousness, just like you can't cling to ego. It doesn't work. I mean, it only, if it works, it means you're suppressing something. When it's authentic, you know, it arises, it flows through you like water, and then you let it go, right? So and right now, whatever arises, and it flows not exactly like water, but it flows with resistance, with pain, with destruction. Well, look at that. Let it flow, and look at all the hurdles.
It's just so weird. Like, I think that I start to think that, like, our society is totally like in opposition to this. So like to communicate with people, you know, like reaction and all those stuff. It's like so automatic, so much. Yeah.
Yes, so, the culture is in total opposite to that, right? The culture trains you to say, well, if you feel bad, then there's something in the external circumstance which needs fixing. You know, there's something wrong with people. There's something wrong with, but it's never about just, you know, look at how it feels, because it's your feeling. Just really explore that. Where did that come from? So the society, unfortunately, yes. So it is very poorly understood. I mean, the whole of culture actually is about, or at least a very large part of it is about maintaining the feelings that we find attractive and trying to avoid the feelings that we find unattractive, and to insane degrees. Yes. So it's totally, it runs very much counter to culture. You're absolutely right. Yes.
It just feels that
maybe Sophia has something to add.
I do. Yeah. So I guess what you're saying, it's pretty in line with my experience of meditation right now. I don't know. The Zen practice is very encouraging, of like coming back to the present moment. And I have just observed that I am in a constant state of fantasizing, because when I come back to the present moment, I'm just, you know, there's just like some little tiny uncomfortable thing about it, or you know, and I would rather just play fun movies in my mind and watch those instead.
That's right. Yes, that's right. So it's kind of it's sort of even like an addiction in a way.
Yes,
right?
it's totally an
There's
addiction.
yes. There's absolutely nothing wrong usually with the present moment. There are no problems in the present moment. The present moment is most of the time supremely satisfying. But we live either in the past or in the future. So we either fantasize if we want to be anxious, or we nostalgize, or like whatever, or think about all the the bad stuff that happened to us in the past, or the good stuff. If we want to be nostalgic or sad. So it's almost like this constant movement away from the present into either the past or the future. And that's also, that movement in consciousness is what we can call ego or conditioning. That's pretty much all it is, right? And but the paradox is that this movement also happens at the present moment. And if you identify this movement, and now you try to work, you see, if you try to work so that this movement doesn't happen, then it also, you're also avoiding, you're also evading the present moment. You see, that's this paradox that Gergo brought up. So kind of this also is to be allowed and simply witnessed. And I mean, there's a very deep wisdom in that, because you can't really fix the problem before you admit the problem and understand the problem. So first you have to see how much dreaming, how much fantasizing you have before you see the extent of it. You see the roots of the problem, and that's how they don't take root again in you in the future. That's by thoroughly understanding it, thoroughly seeing it, and thoroughly exhausting yourself from it. So which is also why suppression never works. So you're right, it's a very keen observation.
I've also, I suppose this might be related to the fantasizing, because I think I had a recent long silent period of meditation for about a week or so, and the inescapability of like the present moment is felt as like kind of disappointing. I don't know. I guess I just in all of my fantasizing,
it's very disappointing for the ego. Yes, sure. Yes, very disappointing.
This is all there is. Like,
that's it. Yes. And everything else is just fantasies, And that's very disappointing. Yes. Very, yes.
I don't know. I've been on a pretty hardcore nihilistic kick, I feel like, as a result of that. Maybe, it's like if this is all there is, why am I bothering? Kind of
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Why are you bothering? What are you bothering with? That's pretty much, look around. That's all. There's nothing much to it. You see, there's not a lot to it other than that. Yes. Yeah, that's right. Yes.
Yeah, that's just what it is.
It's pretty crazy, yes, if you think about it. Yes. Yes. All of our problems are always away from what's happening most of the time. Most of the time. It's always somewhere else. Yes. We're always somewhere else. Yeah. Yeah. And once you see the inescapability of the present moments, once you see it becomes very difficult to unsee, and you sort of start your collapse into it. And you see more and more of the things that you thought were real.
I just show my phone. Oh man. It's been a lot.
Yes, yeah. It's wonderful. Wonderful. Abi says, thanks. I need to catch up with early minutes. Yes, please. They're on YouTube. Thank you, Artem. You're welcome. Why don't you come and join us? We're having a good time. So let's see if we have. We don't really have a lot of questions today. So maybe I should switch to doing these meetings once every 2 weeks for now, because let's see if I have anything on Discord. Let's see.
I have a random personal question.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
You're talking about, I think, entertainment or something last week, and how you were more into like sensory interesting stuff. What about comedies? Are comedies still amusing to you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, most definitely. Yes. Yeah, I find all sorts of things funny, and even comedy. Making fun of culture, of people, of our irrationality, of our silliness, of our stupidity. That could also be quite funny. The best comedies are they're kind of kind, if you notice it. So the best comedies they made with love. For people, and including for irrationality and stupidity and greed and all sorts of things. So if it's and also very interestingly, kind of good humor is pretty smart. So there's so yes, I can get kind of a deep satisfaction from watching a kind and smart comedy. Situational kind, but still not as much as before. So it kind of gets. It's interesting because most of the entertainment in samsara is entertainment for the mind. It is. We are so separated from our bodies, actually, so separated from how it's all supposed to be felt, that we're just looking for people to entertain us with endless stories about relationship between people and disappointments and anger at each other and difficult situations, lying to each other, uncovering those lies. And there is such a big aspect of lying and misunderstandings in sitcoms, and so yeah, I can't say that it diminished somewhat, I think, but generally speaking, for sure, yes, comedies is still a big part of it. I really enjoy Rick and Morty, for example. It's awesome.
Yes.
What? I didn't get what do you enjoy?
Rick and Morty.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah. So it's just that with if we speak about like what is generally considered drama, then oftentimes, even if it has a sort of moral, then it oftentimes is plainly wrong. Like for example, there are a lot of dramas that get what makes one happy absolutely wrong, and they have a wrong message. There are also a lot of very good dramatic movies with very good message, or with no message at all. For example, if we just sort of explore the complexity and of human psyche, and putting people in different situations and things like that, they all, in a way, very repetitive. To be honest with you, even the ones with very good with good messages are still quite repetitive. So it gets kind of boring after a while. It's sort of difficult to come up with good drama which is surprising and interesting. But I think with some good acting, it's certainly possible. I quite enjoyed a lot of movies, really. Oh, by the way, we have Anton on the line. Anton, hi. How are you?
Hi. I'm. Do you hear me?
Yes, this time, yes. I think you were trying to join last time, but it was you, right? I was like, what's going on?
Yes, my internet was kind of messy.
Your internet actually was fine. You mean you didn't see our stream or something like that? Because we saw you. I saw you.
I heard you, but I think I was. It was how to say lag.
I see. Oh, I see. Lag. Yes. Well, now there doesn't seem to be a lag. So thank you very much for joining.
Thank you. I was quite nervous about joining this meeting. I was watching on YouTube and get really nervous, but but if I get you right, everything that's challenge you, you should do, and
Yes.
just focus on emotions and stuff like that.
Yes. Yes,
So
especially if it's clear, if you can clearly see that it's irrational, right? Especially if there's no real harm to you, right? So I'm not a bear who could eat you or maul you, right? So all of the nervousness is purely psychic. You see, there's all of the nervousness is sort of yours. So it's yes. I mean, I'm all for. That's good spiritual practice to challenge yourself in these situations if you're safe.
Yeah, okay. I'm actually have a question.
Yes.
About what is schizophrenia?
Oh, that's such a good question. So, I mean, there would be traditional definitions of schizophrenia, right? Which so they would define it as some psychiatric disease, that has hallucinations, voices, delusions of grandeur. There are so many different what's it called, effects of schizophrenia, so many different diagnostic characteristics. I don't quite remember the term. So there are a set of symptoms, yes. So there are like a dozen or so symptoms of schizophrenia, and of course people don't know, just like with depression, nobody really knows why exactly it happens. Maybe there are some genetic correlations, but genetics is just basically is nothing but statistical correlations that we find when we analyze specific, central information and informational part of our cells. So basically, genetics is so is so overused as an explanation for everything that we don't understand, because so we don't understand something, and then we'll find some correlation, and then we say, okay, it's genetics. That doesn't mean anything. There's just some correlation. There's some just ancestral correlation. That's all it says. It doesn't say anything else. It doesn't give you any reason. So nobody really knows what it is. Just like what depression is, even just like what any psychiatric disorder is actually. And so I, of course, have a very different view of schizophrenia, mostly because, first of all, it became extremely apparent to me that all psychiatric and psychological diseases are diseases of ego. And then secondly, is because as my ego collapsed, I pretty much experienced all symptoms of schizophrenia without exception. So I experienced hallucinations, I experienced voices, I experienced deep convictions and the delusions of grandeur, and I experience trees looking at me, animals looking at me, nature speaking to me, demons, kind of personification of my own death, things like that. These are all very common. So I mean, these are all things that people experience in deep meditations. Some people speak to aliens in meditation. Some people merge with God in meditations. People have all sorts of extremely bizarre, vivid, and realistic experiences in meditations and non-psychedelic trips. And as the unfolding happens in life, there are all sorts of experiences that would actually be in line with the symptoms of schizophrenia. And I had those experiences also. So in my personal opinion, schizophrenia is basically when the egoic dreaming kind of penetrates daily experience with eyes open, and penetrates the senses, and also kind of partially gets exposed to the level of consciousness, right? So for a lot of people, psychedelic trips are kind of schizophrenic. So so it can be an ego on the verge of collapse. It can be in a dreaming mind, and like an ego that dreams so intensely that it kind of that it's difficult to keep it under, in the subconscious, below the level of consciousness. But it's kind of the same thing. So if it becomes very difficult to keep you dreaming on below the level of consciousness, then you are sort of on the verge of collapse. Well, the problem is the moment that with schizophrenia, the moment that those experiences manifest in daily lives, we try to do what? We try to suppress them as much as possible. So you go to the doctor and like, I don't know what they give, antipsychotics, whatever, but they give, but the point is that those hallucinations are bad, right? And then we need to get rid of them. Whereas the direction towards healing, the directions towards integration, the directions towards unifying consciousness is staying with those experiences and seeing slowly, but maybe with someone's help, but to seeing the unreality of them, right?
Okay.
So to see like that this voice is just a voice. So yes, maybe it's voice, and it feels real, but look, there's no one here. That's my mind. You see?
Yeah.
The same thing with visual hallucinations, right? You can see some, but then you can check, right? So some people have very serious visual hallucinations on psychedelic trips, right? If there's some symptoms of schizophrenia, if there's some hallucinations, voices, some feeling of presence of some other entities, like some demons are present or angels are present, or whatever it is, right? One could also close their eyes and sit through this experience, explore this experience, right? But it's almost invariably there's almost invariably comes a point where you realize that it's not true. The problem is that this point comes later, not during the experience. So during the experience, there could be bouts of paranoia. There could be lots of very difficult, intense experiences, and I've had them, but that's just our minds which are scaring us. The reality is, and of course, when we go through those experiences, they appear and they feel very real, right? That's why, by the way, I the advice that I give, like for example, if you very suddenly become very fearful, or it feels like something's going to happen and you need to run somewhere, and just chill, close your eyes, just allow this experience to happen, but don't necessarily do something about it. Most of the time, if you look at it rationally, most of the time you're safe. So there's a part which we can turn to when the rational part of us. It's that on some level we know that we're safe. On some level, when all the spiritual unfolding happens to us, on some level we know that we're safe. So you can sort of check with that, and then lie down, close your eyes, and allow yourself to have this experience. Even if there's some visual hallucination, if there's some voice hallucination, because for as long as your body's safe, for as long as you don't have to go to a doctor or no one's trying to kill you, it may feel if it's true, but you can look around, make a rational verification, and just allow yourself to have this experience in consciousness. So it's kind of like night dreaming that is bursting to the surface. That's what I think it is.
Okay.
And it's very normal. Like if you're asking a question about yourself, and if you have some visuals, auditory hallucinations, feelings of presence of other beings, or any sorts of symptoms that is oftentimes associated with schizophrenia, then rest assured, a lot of people on the spiritual path had those experiences, and I had those experiences also. in life, in meditation, on psychedelics. Those are very common experiences. It doesn't mean that you need to that you need to immediately go on medicine. It's much more productive to learn to see that those are phenomenological experiences that arise and pass in consciousness.
Okay, makes sense. I did much drugs back in time and get very sick and get problem with love, and they kind of I don't know, they kind of force me to take medicine by the law, and can't really do something much about it
Right.
for the
Yes.
moment. So is that any problem to
Well,
go deeper in pain or suffering and stuff like that?
Well, I mean, I don't know, unfortunately, right? So I, of course, I would generally, right? If you're committed to the spiritual path, if you're committed to the practice of meditation, then I don't really think that.
Sorry.
No worries. So I would personally if I had an opportunity, right? If I were to choose, and if I had this opportunity, I would continue the practice and I would slowly taper off the meds if I had this opportunity, right? So I wouldn't like just abruptly do this, right? There's no reason to do anything abruptly, just like there's no reason to take massive doses of psychedelics. There's absolutely no reason for these shocks, because it's about slowly expanding awareness and welcoming, allowing things in your experience which you didn't allow before, which you were suppressing before. So I would keep meditating, and I would slowly taper up the meds, and then learn to slowly accept the difficulty that will probably come with that. So if you cannot do this by law, then I mean, obviously.
I'm sorry. This is the.
No worries. You can take the call.
Hello. Oh, hey.
Yeah, I'm gonna remove him for the privacy concerns, and so.
Could I ask a brief
Yes,
question piggybacking on that? Do you think the the schizophrenic experiences that you had, I guess, like the confusion as to whether that egoic dreaming was reality or not, was that because of the pace at which you were going and trying to uncover everything, or
possibly? Yes, possibly. But I've also seen people report all these kinds of experiences without, people who didn't use psychedelics still reported very similar experiences. So yes, so possibly when it becomes very intense, it kind of becomes schizophrenic or psychotic. But I see people telling me, well, I don't know, last summer I had an awakening which was a psychotic break all the time, right? So people describe their awakening as a psychotic break all the time. So like, to me, yes, my awakening felt like some sort of a psychotic break, and then what followed, a lot of aspects of non-duality felt like some symptoms of schizophrenia. But it's a part of the journey, right? To learn to differentiate between what is your mind and what is reality. So you're possibly right. It can be possibly much less intense for people, but it's so common. I mean, those experiences, those hallucinations, voices, the feelings of, like, for example, I had a lot of experiences where I literally felt like I control everything. What I was confusing it with is that I created my own character, and I completely controlled how I perceive myself, and I completely control how I perceive other people. But at that point of time, the feeling was that I was the god of my universe and I controlled everything, and that includes the weather. I myself never tried to talk about it publicly, but that's like where you get teachers who say, well, they control the weather. I mean, to me, it would also be interesting to put two of those teachers together and say, well, why don't you make this rain and you make this see kind of the battle of the minds, because this isn't going to be one outcome, right? So that's where the controller is always a very interesting question to me. But my point is that it's completely natural to have those delusional states, completely, and and that's why I think that meditation, learning to witness the mind, and then later learning to calm the mind. Well, it's not even, you don't even learn to calm the mind. The mind calms itself when it's being witnessed. When you always give into it and you allow it to control you, then it kind of goes berserk. But when you simply witness it and allow it to create any experience in you, which you're okay with, then it calms itself. It slowly plays its contents out. But it's so it's wonderful practice. So with your question, Anton, with respect to, if you can do this by law, with respect to which extent things, drugs like antipsychotics or some other, suppressive drugs, to which extent they hinder this process, to which extent they suppress all of this unconscious material. I suspect that they do. I don't quite know to which extent. It might be, I can't, in full honesty, be giving you information here. It's very possible that it won't matter. And if you meditate for long enough, if you continue a spiritual practice, that there will become a point where you would be able to just, you won't need them anymore and you'll be able to stop using them. I don't know. I think that they do to some extent, because I think that they are given, because the reason because I think they do is that some people report feeling better when they, so kind of whatever they were struggling with, so on antidepressants or anti-anxiety meds or anti-psychotic meds. I'm not a professional in this, so I don't know a lot about how those works, but they report like whatever they were struggling with, it just kind of became less apparent. Not that they transcended it and they don't struggle with this anymore, and they understood why they were struggling, and they say, okay, now I get it. This is something, I let it go. This is behind me now, this particular struggle. No, it just kind of goes away. So to me, it indicates that those are usually mostly the drugs of suppression. But at the same time, I don't think that it's quite possible to suppress something that you don't want to suppress anymore, with drugs or without drugs. And people who, even the people who, for example, take antidepressants, they usually suffer, and as time goes by, they also most of the time want to stop using them, as they feel that when they feel that their depression has sort of lifted. So we still fundamentally only increase our well-being by allowing ourselves to feel ourselves better, to feel more, right? And the fundamental of well-being is being at peace with your experience. That's the deepest fundamental of well-being. So the more, of course, the less you need to adjust your experience, especially with pharmaceuticals, the more capability, the more capacity you have to experience joy and well-being. So, so I don't think so. So it's kind of, the way that I'm trying to answer this question is, no, ideally, you would probably taper it off slowly if you feel like you can. But if this is something that is mandatory to you, and if you have like a history of violence in the past or something like this, I'm not going to be the person who will tell you to break the law. It might be not in your best interest, you see. So does that mean that meditation practice will not be effective for you because you are on some drugs that are mandatory to you? No. I'm sure that it will continue to be effective, and I'm sure that it's just as you improve your ability to be with your current experience, that is the right direction of spiritual process, personal growth, whatever it is, however you name it, that's always the right direction, with drugs or without drugs, you see. So I don't want you to discourage. I don't want to discourage you with your current situation.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have some other questions in comments. So we have three live guests. So we'll just keep you so that you could make comments yourselves if you want. So Bo asks, how does enlightenment affect memory? Getting more and more aware, I notice both my short-time and long-time memory seems to get poorer. Well, that's actually a complicated question. There are a lot of reports that enlightenment affects memory really adversely. So kind of the memory gets worse and worse and worse and worse. And I actually had the same experience. I had the same kind of. I later realized that it was mostly an illusion. So the kind of memory that was affected very adversely in my case was the things that I didn't care about. You see, the things that I did care about, my memory actually got better, and I still have factual memory of my past. But here's the thing: ego isn't actually a real something. It's a constructed entity, mostly based on learned patterns of behavior, which are rooted in emotional memory. Sometimes they call it emotional body and things like that. Sometimes, Eckhart, I think, called it the pain body. Those are the same things. So when they refer to the pain body, the emotional body, this is the same thing. Those are just basically our suffering that we carry with us, our suppressed suffering, right? And the persona, which is ego, which is also the incessant voice in your head. It's based on those because it is a set of behaviors that are designed so that you never kind of have to look there, so that you never kind of have to, delusionally, of course, because life doesn't work this way. Life makes you look there regardless. But a set of ideas, a set of false ideas about who you are and how you should behave so that you never have to deal with that. And so you can, so kind of when this entity starts to dissolve, and because we associate with it, we think that that's who we are, that first of all, it oftentimes feel like dying, and then second of all, it oftentimes feel like all of your memory goes away. Well, the truth is that only this emotional memory was very needed to think that you are what you think you are. Like for example, if you firmly believe that you are a very bad person, or like that you're a coward, like then you'll never do anything brave, right? If you believe that you're a loser with the opposite sex, then you'll never even try, right? So those beliefs and ideas as they go away, this is, you could say that that's memory, because this is something that you kind of remember. You falsely remember it, but that's an idea that was put in your head somehow, and you believe it, and it's supported by fear or embarrassment or the feelings of guilt or whatever the mechanism was of suppression, whatever the specific mechanism of suppression was. And as you let go of those ideas, it oftentimes feels like all of the memory goes away. That's actually not precisely true. So we have wonderful memories. The mind is a beautiful thing. The brain is a beautiful thing. We're very intelligent. So I still remember the events of my life, and I'm not aware of any enlightened master, sage, whatever, however you may call those people, who doesn't actually remember the events of their life. So who cannot say where he was born, how old he is, and stuff like that, right? Of course, he may pretend that we're speaking about consciousness, and consciousness is unborn, and like blah blah blah, but the person still thinks. Still remembers the facts of their life. I'm not aware of the case where it would be gone. But it's a very, very common illusion, and it's actually good when it happens, because you let go of the things that you wrongly remember about yourself, and also you let go of some obsessions that were used to support the dreaming. So consequently, some of the things that were important to you because you were obsessed with them, or for the reasons of emotional safety or insecurity, don't bother you any longer. Like, for example, if you always obsessively remembered every time you left your house, if you turned off the stove, right, then when you stop obsessively thinking about this every time that you leave your house, you may like, oh my God, what happens with my memory? I don't even stop to think about it. So, or you may start forgetting some calendar events or meetings or some other things that are no longer of interest to you at this particular point of your life. So it's entirely normal. I kind of subjectively, it felt the same for me. It felt like I'm moving into a place with no memory whatsoever. I'm gonna like forget everything completely. No, that's actually not what happens. Okay, Sam says, "Hi Artem, how do you handle unconscious behavior of other people in a skillful manner?" Well, that's a kind of a problematic question. That's a difficult question to answer, because if you have to think about how you handle unconscious people in the skillful manner, then your manner isn't going to be skillful. So what's important is to when you have difficulty with other people, it's always a signal that you have a difficulty with yourself. So because when you question, you're asking, well, how do you handle those people? Well, it means that those people bring some discomfort in you. Because if they weren't, you wouldn't need to answer this question. Right? If they weren't a problem for you, then you wouldn't say, well, hey, Artem, how do you handle those kind of people, in a skillful manner? Or maybe they're not a problem for you. You think they aren't, and you handle them, but you're concerned if you handle them skillfully, which is then still it means that they are a problem for you, because you think you should handle them skillfully, and then you evaluate yourself on how you did. So either one of those cases, they present a problem for you, because if they haven't, then again, you wouldn't be asking. And so the question shouldn't be about how do I behave so that those people, so that whatever, so that the world is better, so that I'm more conscious, so that they're more conscious, so that less people suffer. It doesn't matter. But the question shouldn't be that. The question should be, what is my discomfort right now with those people? What is it that they arise in me? Where is my lack of acceptance of myself, of my experience with this person? Not of this person, but of my experience with this person. Like, for example, this person consistently makes me angry. and I really hate it. So that's about your relationship with anger. It's not about your relationship with this person. That's about your relationship with anger, right? So and things like that. And then the more you know and accept yourself, and the more you allow those people to be your teachers in this sense, in the authentic sense, in the sense that it increases your own level of self-knowledge, it increases your own acceptance of yourself. The more the behavior which you call skillful will manifest spontaneously, authentically, and effortlessly. But for as long as you try to behave skillfully, you will never behave skillfully. It will always be a show. You see, it will always be fake in some way. So don't try to behave skillfully. The focus is on self-love and self-acceptance, and the skillful behavior is a consequence of that. That's so trying to behave skillfully is again putting the cart in front of the horse. So Alex says, "Hi Artem, I'd like to ask you a question, but I cannot while driving. I don't know if you'll still be, but can I? Yeah, I mean, sure, if we're still here." Sarah says, what's that?
I wonder, is it it's related to the question you just get. Is it a good idea to hang around with those people and just watch yourself when pain arises?
It's a wonderful idea if you can do that.
Oh.
Yes, that's a wonderful idea. That's actually what a lot of people in the spiritual path do not do. They go, okay, so this person gives me negative vibes. He must be no. It's but so if you feel like you can handle it, if it's safe for you, right? So I'm not like it's not the same as find like the worst murderers in your town and go. That's not the point. The point is so if it's psychological discomfort in you, right? If you know that it really doesn't, it's safe. Like for example, your mother drives you nuts.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's safe for you. She's not going to do anything to you, right? But you know that she drives you nuts. And yes, it's a wonderful idea to look at. Like Ram Dass said, if you think you're enlightened, go hang with your parents. So most people, and I don't know what he meant actually, because I don't think that he self-realized before he had a stroke, which happened quite recently. So I don't know what he meant. But what a lot of people, the way that a lot of people interpret him is, go and hang with your parents and see if you'll be able to bring peace and harmony and make like everybody love you, and especially like spiritual people that really evaluate themselves on how much they are in harmony with other people and how much they make everybody smile. No, that's actually not what I hope that's not what he meant. Even if he meant that, he was wrong, but it's still a very deep observation, which can be read much more authentically as if you think you're enlightened, go hang with your parents and then watch yourself, and then see how easy it is for you to get triggered, how easy it is for you to get angry, how easy it is for you to get resentful, and how much sort of negative material you still might harbor towards your parents. That's, I think, a much truer, a much deeper interpretation of this phrase, and I think that I hope that that's what he meant. So yes, it can be a wonderful idea if you can do it. So great practice. Great practice.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Let me add. We have Melly also. So Gergo, I'm just gonna rotate you out. Okay. Melly, hey, how's it going?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thank you for joining.
Thank you. So, I'm the only one? Okay.
Well, we also
Mistake
have
then.
Thea over here, and Anton. They didn't go anywhere. I just sort of removed them from. But yes, let's keep them for the company.
Yes. Well, it's good to see you. It's good to see everyone.
Thank you.
And I'm liking the questions. I'm liking the answers. Everything always leads back to just asking myself what I'm dealing in turn with my experience, what I'm struggling with, no matter what question comes up, even if it's delusional.
Yes.
What am I asking myself for?
Yes.
And yeah.
And what am I feeling? Yes.
Yeah. Or what am I feeling like I am getting to?
Right. Yes. So as we just discussed it with my wife yesterday, yes, it's not an intellectual question like what am I feeling? What am I feeling as in, well, give me the word for what I'm feeling. Which, by the way, at some point of practice, it could be a good practice also, right? If for some people who are so disconnected with their emotions, then even the question of what am I feeling? Is it anger right now? Is it sadness? What is it? Brings them deeper to their emotions. So for some people, it's a good question to start with. But ultimately,
it used to be useful for me too.
Yeah, exactly. See, but ultimately, it's not even about that. It's not even. What's that?
Sometimes it happens to be too.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm overwhelmed and I don't know what's going on.
Yes.
Then I'm like, oh, I just need to be sad right now and accept the fact that I'm sad, or whatever other emotion comes up.
Yeah, just identifying this emotion when you're really overwhelmed. Just identifying this emotion can kind of help you focus on it. Can help you sort of not get too panicky about what's going on.
Yeah.
Yes, for certainly.
Create imaginations.
Yes, absolutely. But the point that I was going to make is that that's even deeper still. It's not even about giving a label, giving a word to your experience. It's what am I feeling right now is not a question to be answered with words. It's a movement in consciousness. It's when you are saying, okay, what is it? Let me feel it. Let me turn towards it now. So it's a that's also why sometimes I say explore your feelings with curiosity. So it's the same thing. So I'm pointing towards that this exploration, it happens with the as acceptance of experience. So it's when you like we just very easily forget. We forget. We get lost in the mind again, right? But what we need to do is to turn towards the actual experience and be with it and stay with it.
It's very easy to feel like you're feeling.
Yes. Yes. And then the real thing comes and you're like, oh. Yes.
I wasted hours just getting angry and not knowing what's going on. Yeah.
So Sarah says, if a doctor is aware that there is a spiritual experience, they can often help. Very, very likely, yes. I haven't worked with many doctors, but my therapist also had spiritual experiences, so that's why probably I liked him so much. So yes, that's very likely true.
I have one more question.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I've noticed within myself, I have this, I don't know, like this resistant or kind of argumentative response to actually the abbot here is like he's this very like wise and thoughtful dude, but he talks a lot about like, I don't know, the goodness of humanity, I guess.
Cool.
And the abbot, he's the guy in charge of the monastery here. He's like the head monk, the big cheese.
Okay.
And and just like this inherent goodness that is, you know, fundamental to our nature, and like the importance of that recognition. And for some reason, whenever he talks about that, I don't know, I feel the urge to disagree with him about this. This has been a recurrent thing in our teacher sessions, is me just being like, but are we good? You know? And yeah, okay.
Okay. Yes. So he's right, but I don't know to which extent he's authentic. So humans are generally good. Egos aren't. So so you see, because being good is actually rational. So when we are free from suffering, when we ourselves don't suffer, then what we generally call good, wise behavior is rational behavior. Like, it is, for example, it is supremely irrational to engage in a physical conflict over property, for example, in a world where it is extremely easy to find food. So it's very irrational to want to hurt, kill, or maim other beings that never did anything to you. It's very irrational to pursue vengeance, for example. I mean, in some circumstances, it may be rational, because, like, if you don't stand up for yourself, then they will do it again. But in our society, the way that it's structured, it's almost always irrational. So we are in our misery, we are slaves of our passions. So when we are free from our passions, when we are free from our pain, only then we can be good. But then the goodness becomes effortless. It becomes natural, and it stems from the understanding that this person who wronged you, for example, only did it because he's suffering. You see, but we aren't good in the way that we are saints. You see, there's this big misconception between the kind of sainthood of enlightenment and between what is a much more complete and authentic realization, which is beyond the difference between good and evil, beyond the ideas of salvation of other people, beyond the ideas of sainthoods. Because so, for example, a monk who happily dies and does not even defend himself is not yet fully realized, is delusional. So there's a goodness which stems effortlessly and authentically from lack of suffering. Because if I live in reality in which there is very little suffering and a beautiful, blissful life, and I know that you live in the same reality, but somehow you cannot see it, then it is kind of it is there's no reason for me to behave to you in a cruel way. You see, because I myself, because if I myself don't suffer, then the only thing that could exist in my relationship to you is compassion. So, but at the same time, if you try to kill me, or if you try to burn my house, or if you try to bring me pain, right? I mean physical pain, not emotional pain. if you try to maim me or eat me, right, that I can become a savage. There's absolutely nothing good. There would be no more good about me in this situation than there would be, about a lion who tries to kill, or like, something for food, or they fight each other, the for the pride or whatever. Like this natural aggressive behaviors, because we're all part of nature, and conflict, death are part of our reality. So the goodness, you see, it's not like that the humans are fundamentally good. It's just that the evil, which is considered to be fundamental to human nature by the mainstream line of thinking, and including even the mainstream science, that the evil that is considered to be fundamental to human nature, our weaknesses and biases and hatreds and fears, which are considered to be fundamental, defining of human nature, those things actually are just a product of the dreaming mind. And then what's left isn't goodness; it's authenticity. But from the perspective of the dreaming mind, it oftentimes looks like tremendous goodness, even sainthoods. But it's not sainthood, because if you're a saint, then you're still not free, right? So I'm not going to help you if I don't want to. But if I want to, then you may feel like I'm a saint, because nothing that you say to me changes my, the way that I treat you, or my willingness to help you, which is a stark departure from how people treat each other usually, when it's all about what is being said to each other, and there's just so much malice and judgments and so much pain that we easily begin to hate anybody who mistreats us verbally, right? Even verbally. I'm not even speaking about, but just tells us things that we don't like, and we easily start hating this person. There's so much pain in us, you see. So it's not. It is. So goodness and freedom aren't mutually exclusive, actually, but they are mutually exclusive from a certain point of view. So if you feel like that enlightenment is something that obligates you to be nice, that obligates you to be good to people, to obligates you to be altruistic, right? Then it's not the authentic goodness that comes from freedom. Then it's also the image of a good person that comes from society and comes from how you want to be viewed. So he's right, but fundamentally he is right, because our deep nature is devoid from violence. It's devoid from restlessness. It's devoid from the silly and stupid things such as vengeance or hatred based on a different color of the skin or different gender or any difference whatsoever. But it's also supremely rational, so you can't even describe it as good.
Could we say that? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
To follow up, I was going to ask, would an experience of resistance to that idea be like a cynicism or like an attachment to some like self-loathing identity that's like me not like facing something? Or
what I personally think is that what the reason that you don't like this this idea, and the reason that you don't like these terms is it's not like you're resisting to. It's not like you're resisting the natural goodness in you. It's not something that you can resist. It's that you. It's that most likely I think that you see or you witness how the ego is like this tendency of the ego to earn enlightenment. You see, it's like, so we must be good now. Everybody just must be good. If I'm good, then yes, that's going to be my enlightenment. You see, and now you're like, no, this is just bullshit. Like all this goodness is bullshit. It's about being, not about being good. It's about being myself. And you're right. You're right. It's just that your deepest version of yourself is also the kind of the most good from the authentic perspective of goodness, because it's the least suffering, and the least suffering version is what's most capable of doing good. The more you suffer, the less capable you are of doing good. But it's also the most free version, which doesn't mean that you will. So it's kind of paradoxical in a way, but you know, the interesting thing is that if you feel resistance to someone else's idea, then it's probably not a very good idea. So this idea that we should be good is also not a very good idea. And I'm not sure, kind of, it's very difficult. You know, obviously, I don't know this person, and I don't know to you know, to what extent he, you know, the depth and extent of his realization. In general, there is a tendency in all religious organizations and all spiritual communities to focus on goodness versus authenticity. So it's a very kind of natural conflict. So just remember that authentic goodness comes with authenticity. So if you have a conflict between goodness and authenticity, then it's always a conflict between fake goodness and authenticity. You see, so it's always a conflict between you wanting to be seen as good versus the truth, versus your authenticity, versus what you really want. So authentic goodness comes with authenticity. So I think you're right in rejecting that particular message in the particular form which you took it. So it doesn't say anything about the messenger, but does it make sense?
Yes, thank you.
You bet. Okay, so we have Alex. Let me add Alex.
Could I add something to that real quickly?
Yes, please.
I went through a lot of reflection up till now, so having a bit of a bit harder to just say it. I think authenticity is instinctive, and love and compassion and care is also instinctive. And when we lack those around us or from ourselves, that's when we suffer, and that's when we lack to give that in turn. So when we are faced with someone who's suffering, if we don't have enough for ourselves and can't give to them the amount we need to give in order to still have for ourselves and help them retrieve their own, then it's better to walk away when it's for...
That's exactly right. You're exactly right. Yes, you hit it on the head. Yes, you cannot give anything that you don't have. So basically, you have just elucidated what I meant when I said that the authentic kindness comes from authenticity. Yes, you're right.
It's something I struggle to accept for myself. But yeah, anytime I do express it, it's very helpful.
Wonderful. Thank you. Alex, do you want anything to add or ask you?
Hey guys. Yeah. So last night I was talking with Shay on the Discord app, and we were talking about spiritual narcissism.
With who?
Shay.
Okay.
Yeah, we were talking about spiritual narcissism, and I'm not even really entirely sure what my question is. I think I'll come up with it as I'm speaking it to you. I'm kind of confused from our conversation. But so basically, like, for a while, I had a lot of doubt in myself, especially in this path, didn't trust myself at all. And I've started to kind of trust myself more as I've nurtured a more like self-loving voice and things like this. But what Shay was trying to help me see is that to be careful because I told her, I was like, thank you so much. I said, thank you because you helped me plant that seed for myself. For starting to accept my experience and trust myself and things like this. And I said, I said accomplishment. I said the word accomplishment. And she's like, look at what is looking at these things as attainments. And I wasn't quite sure what she meant, but she was saying that, last time we spoke, Artem, you were saying that it's a kind of home that you kind of start to see for yourself. It's like a home that's calling you. She said, be careful not to identify with it, though, because it can be seen as spiritual narcissism, meaning it can start to be something that feels like I'm protecting myself from, in a way. I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time explaining this. So I'm the top salesman in the office right now at work, and I have never really been that good at something. But I noticed that as successful as I am at it, I'm also very doubtful, and there's no satisfaction from it. There's just, it's empty. I see the emptiness in it. But I still obsess over my success too. Like I'll look at the stats, when they come out every morning, when I wake up in the morning, I'll look up the stats to see, oh yeah, I was on the top. Exactly. That's what I thought it was going to be.
So hold on. So you feel great satisfaction, but it's empty.
No, I said
it's
I don't.
Kind of strange. What?
I said I don't feel great satisfaction.
No, but you just told me. Yeah, you look at the stats and you're like, oh yes. What is that if it's not satisfaction?
It's fleeting. It's like I'll have that moment, but at the same time, it won't feel like it's lasting.
Yes, that's right. Yes, it's fleeting. Yes, all satisfactions of the sort are fleeting. Nothing can get you lasting satisfactions. Only you can. Yes.
Yeah. And what Shay was trying to help me see is that this is a form of me hiding from the feelings that I would have to face if I didn't get that reinforcement from my superiors, that I'm doing so well.
What is exactly? What is the form of hiding?
Like obsessing over my success, like creating a grandiose fantasy out of it.
So.
Or even being able to say when I'm in pain that it's kind of enjoyable.
Well, let's pick one. So
okay.
So obsessing over your success is a form of hiding.
Yeah, like avoiding feelings of worthlessness is what she was saying to me.
Okay. Well, let's imagine that is true. So what is the practical advice? Can you stop obsessing over your success?
Well, no, I don't. It wasn't that she was telling me to stop.
Okay.
I think she was telling me to just notice it.
Okay.
And then notice what feelings might be there that I'm not facing.
What have you noticed?
Well, what I've noticed is it's exhausting.
Obsessing over success?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
There's a restlessness with it. No matter how well I do, it doesn't matter. It doesn't make me feel any different.
That's right. Yes.
I mean, the other part of it is I'm trying to make a certain amount of money for myself so that I can retire early and stuff, you know, but
That's different though.
but it's different. Yeah.
Yes.
But the part that I'm so confused about, Artem, is like, we were talking about it, and I feel like in some ways I've been in denial of my narcissism. You know, I live with a roommate who he told me he's diagnosed with narcissism. I've told you about this before, and a lot of his behavior has aggravated me and angers me and has made me also very afraid. And I think I've held it far from my mind that I ever could be that I could be anything like him. But I think I'm starting to see that it's not entirely true. That the things that he does and says, I can say as well. It's a choice. I don't know, man. I'm just confused. I'm really confused, but I also feel like I'm kind of
okay to be. Yeah, it's okay to be confused. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's okay. Yes, I mean you're right. Every ego is a narcissist.
I remember you saying this. Yeah, and when you said this the first time, I was like, yeah, okay. Well, I guess I'll experience that when I do.
Well, now I guess you got to that point.
I kind of just brushed it off. I was like, all right. Well,
no, that's right. Yes, yes. So every ego is a narcissist. So what makes us narcissists is exactly this obsession. So every ego is in pain, and then as a consequence, every ego is obsessed with means out of this pain. But of course, the only mean out of this pain is to turn the attention inwards. But we're obsessed with external means out of this pain because every ego is delusionally thinks that if we change our life circumstances, then the pain will go away. And that's what makes us narcissists. That's why we're narcissists, not because we are somehow malicious. Also, okay. Who's typing? Maybe Anton's typing. Okay. Yeah. So not big. What's that noise? Sorry about that.
I don't know.
What is this noise? Huh. I think it was okay. So not because we are malicious, although that's also true, right? So we can become malicious in our pain. We can become hateful and resentful and actually want to do damage in our pain, for sure. But even if we're not like that, right? Just the very fact of being obsessed with our pain, the very fact with being constantly, obsessed with plans, with the future or the past. So what happens is that we just stop seeing things around us. We stop looking at other people. We stop hearing them. We stop talking to them. We start waiting for a turn to talk. You see, we stop looking at them as people. We start looking at them as tools to fulfill our needs. So if we think that success is what we need to start feeling better about ourselves, then we'll start looking at everybody as a figure in our game of success. Will it help me to be successful? Will it not help me to be successful? You see. So yes, I mean, we certainly the amount of our self-obsession is proportional to the amount of our narcissism. So you're seeing several things. So you're seeing, well, first of all, that your obsession with success is not going to make you happier. So you see that whatever you achieve something, the satisfaction that you have is fleeting. And you're also seeing how this self-obsession of yours is allowing, has historically, and it continues to probably, allow you to treat people in a less than humane way.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and that is something that is universally seen on the spiritual path, regardless of if your ego was outwardly bad and aggressive and not agreeable, or it was outwardly nice and agreeable, because even if it was very outwardly nice,
Yeah.
if it is obsessed with its plans, it's still using people as a means to an end.
Right. Yeah.
You see, by sort of rejecting them, their own autonomy, and looking at them as a part of your bigger plan.
Yeah.
So that's a part of it, yes.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And it's
And there's no like real distinction. Spiritual narcissism, or like it's just that
right.
In the spiritual process we get to see it, and we also get, we can also develop ego can also what is authentic spiritual narcissism is the narcissism that ego develops based on its supposed spiritual attainment. So it's like, okay, I have achieved, I have attained, the other people are now need to listen to me, and I'm sort of a great teacher and whatnot, and kind of I see ignorance in everybody, I see what they need, so and then we kind of develop this, but it's not, it's only spiritual in a sense. Like every narcissism is egoic narcissism, regardless of whether it's so what is spiritual here is not the mechanism of narcissism, but simply what it's about. What becomes the basis of superiority, right? So just like you can compare yourselves with other people on looks, on the basis of looks, on the basis of success, on the basis of material wealth, on the basis of morals, like being a good person,
right.
Being woke. So you can similarly compare to yourself to other people based on your spiritual attainment, your level of insight, your level of understanding, whatever it is. But the mechanism is the same. The mechanism is comparing, finding yourself better or more important, and as a consequence, kind of treating other people as pawns in your life rather than independent people with their own desires, agency, issues, tragedies, problems, things like that.
Yeah, definitely. I see a lot of that for sure. A lot of seeing other people's ignorance, seeing them not telling the truth to themselves, things like this. But I can never be 100% sure if it's just my projection of,
Well, the part which is narcissistic about it isn't like it. You may still continue to see it, but the rejecting the narcissistic part is your reaction. So if it makes you angry with them, impatient with them, if you feel yourself superior to them, deeper than them, more spiritual than them, more truthful than them, and the feelings of superiority, the feelings of disdain, the feeling of resentment, the feeling of disrespect, the kind of that is the narcissism. That is the, so it's always it's also an experience, it's also an emotional, it's a judgmental kind of and beyond every judgment there is an emotion. Beyond every judgment of another is actually a well-hidden judgment of yourself. So because think about it, if you are so disdainful, let's say, if you have so much disdain for somebody's ignorance, well, what about the disdain you have for yours? So if you're not free from it, obviously, yet completely, and you know it, otherwise you'd be completely happy and you won't need to talk to me, right? If you see a lot of ignorance of other people, so how do you look at your own ignorance? There's your self-hatred there. You see, so kind of the way that we treat our people, other people, is almost always a direct expression of how we treat ourselves.
Yeah. Thank you.
Just keep saying it.
Yes. Yeah. Just keep saying it. Yeah. Can I mention one other thing to you?
Yes.
So this morning
when I went into when I just started meditating and I closed my eyes, usually what I'll do is I'll focus on the breath. But today I just found myself like immediately starting to cry, just like going into it. And it got, I think I've told you about this before, but sometimes it just gets so intense, man. Like it literally feels like demons, but I can't see them or anything. It literally feels like something is about to like pull me like out of existence. Like I'm about to like die. It's really terrifying. And I know that all there is to do, I know I'm safe. I even can hear myself saying that. I was like, you're safe. It's okay. Sometimes I'll like grab my own hand, like to act as if someone is holding my hand, and just like hug myself through it. But it's so terrifying.
Yes.
And, is the process to just see if I can allow a little bit more each time, just be like, okay, just go a little further, just a little further,
just allow it to happen. Just allow whatever it is to happen. Just, sometimes, yes, I mean, sometimes you kind of, you need to open your eyes and touch yourself and make sure, it's so terrifying that, yes, but generally speaking, just lie down, close your eyes, and let whatever it is that is happening to you to happen to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's just remarkable how freaking scary it is. It's like, and how powerful it is too.
Yes.
I usually just end up opening my eyes and like sighing because like I have to stop. It's so hard.
Yes, that's exactly, that's how it feels like. Yes, it's, it is authentic. Letting go is very difficult. Yes, it's very scary. There's a lot of fear. Yes, but this is the egoic fear of non-existence. It's the fear of death. That's also the fear of life. That's the fear of freedom. That's the fear of joy. That's the fear of happiness. That's the fear of truth. It's the same fear, and you can't do anything about it. You can only surrender to it. You can only allow it to consume you.
Yeah.
That's all you can do.
Although I'd say it's good to be aware if you go very hard. Oh, is my mic working? Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you, Millie.
Yes.
Yeah. So if it gets too hard,
I apologize, guys. I actually have I forgot that I have a meeting. Yeah, my gardener my gardener came today to discuss planting some trees, and it's at 12:30, and I forgot about it. Speaking about memory. Yes.
Topical.
Yes. So memory. Yeah. I guess it didn't feel important enough. I'm sorry. Yeah. I just okay. So okay, guys. Thank you very much for coming. Ty, you made a great comment. Yes, definitely. Even I imagine that people would remember me for thousands of years, and still it wouldn't be enough to compensate for my insecurities. That's exactly right. Yes, the only thing that would be enough to compensate for insecurities is to realize that we're all dust, and it doesn't matter if somebody's going to remember us for 1,000 years or not. So that's actually the only way to stop being insecure. Okay, well, thank you, guys. Thank you very much for coming. So until next time.
Thank you so much, Artem.
Thank you.
Nice to see you guys.
Bye, guys. Best of luck.
Bye.
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 Bye.